Well, good evening. We really appreciate everyone joining us this evening. We know that this has been an extremely long and challenging time through COVID. We're very excited as we look toward the 21-22 school year. We wanted to share just very general information this evening. Over the coming days of May, our parents will be receiving input and feedback forms and lots of ways to engage and tell us more about what you're considering as we look toward the 21-22 school year. But we felt it was important to get out right now with some basic information. So we've got just a few slides to share. It won't take too much of our time together. And then I know Mr. Cluley has our Q&A turned on, and we'll be responding to questions throughout the balance of the hour together. We've got just a few slides, and I think he's going to pop them up now. We are so delighted to have welcomed our students back into school this spring on a hybrid in-school learning opportunity that is available, has been available for all of the students and families who are interested in that option. We're also finishing our school year virtually with those families who prefer that approach. You can see here some great photos. I was very happy to see the Hazley staff t-shirt they debuted this week. I don't know if you can see that logo, that slogan, but it says one paw at a time. And that's the Hazley Huskies, of course. I thought that was a really nice way to describe the transition here. We are working in May with both those students who are in person in school and those students who are joining by Zoom. And on that hybrid option, of course, everyone is a Zoomie at some time. So you can see here, this was a classroom I was in just last week at Ann Arbor Open, and it was great. I'm able to greet in every classroom, both those students who are roomies and those who are Zoomies. This past Saturday, we were able to fully reopen our spring soccer program. That's about 150 K-8 soccer teams, and also a number, I think it's more than 30 field hockey teams. They had a rainy debut, but they are rolling as well. It is wonderful to see our students out and enjoying our full Rec and Ed programming this spring. Enrollment is open for our summer learning program. We're offering a wide series of options, including special education programming that provides professional services and supports, elementary and middle, high school programming, virtual and in-school learning opportunities. Most everything on those options, including the SAT prep programming, is offered for free. And just at a2schools.org, you can go ahead and sign up. We are working on a first come, first served basis. So we hope that if you have interest, you'll get in there and let us know. We have full summer going for Rec and Ed camps. Those will begin on that Monday following the last day of school, as they normally do, beginning June 14th and extending all the way through August 27th. They are both enrichment and sports camps, both indoor and outdoor. I hope that you will get in and sign up. We normally have a few hundred teen volunteers who get their volunteer hours in during the summer in our Rec and Ed programming. So that opportunity for application is now open for our high school students. Also in programs like Safety Town, which I understand is just about fully enrolled. We'll have quite a bumper crop of Safety Town learning this summer as well. we were delighted. The highlight, really, of this week is that authorization for the Pfizer vaccine for students 12 to 15. Washtenaw County Health Department has been tremendously helpful. They are plugging in to our vaccine clinics that we already had set up. This is all over the county. And for us, we will be at Huron on Thursday, May 20th. So just to be clear, that is the second vaccine for a large number of our 16 years and up students and community members and staff and parents even also. But it is also on that same day, they've expanded so that we have a large number. I think it's more than 300 appointments available for our 12 to 15-year-olds. So if you're out there and you have a young teen that you would like to get into vaccination, of course, there are many opportunities in the community, but we're delighted. And we know that many of our families feel more comfortable right in our school setting. In our own Ann Arbor Public Schools, nurses will be assisting with doing the vaccines there next Thursday. There is a place here where you can go on and sign up for your appointment and make sure that you're all set for vaccine. All right, well, let's talk a little bit about what to expect through the back to school of fall 2021. We are starting school on August 30th. That is a little bit unusual. It's that Monday prior to Labor Day weekend. That reasoning is very simple, very straightforward, is that our 180-day school year, 36 weeks, fits right in between August 30th and June 10th. So this will allow us really to have the expected family break, vacation, winter break times. It also provides for a 4-day week that week of August 30th. The goal coming back to a strong back to school is that all of our students and staff and families would be able to establish those routines of everyday school. We haven't had that in quite a while, and we want to get a strong start to the 21 school year. So it's natural to wonder, what will that look like? Again, we're sharing general information. We'll be working together with our students and staff, our parents and families to color in more of the details, but we want you to have the basics here in May so you can plan ahead. We are looking at a 5 days per week full return back to school, in-school learning. That features all of the things we had in the before times, pretty much. I am going to share a few things, but it features our same quality teachers and staff, our wide academic programming, world languages, performing and visual arts and sciences, the whole package beginning on August 30th. And that includes early childhood all the way through 12th grade. We do want to set out front right away that there will be no hybrid instruction during the 21-22 school year. That is not a part of our plan in any way. We will offer the fully virtual learning opportunities for our families, and we'll offer those at kinder through 12. So those virtual opportunities will be available, but the virtual and the in-person will not be mixed or blended. So we just want to make sure we're reassuring everyone with that as well. This fall is really about a time of restoration and re-engagement and renewal in each of our school communities and in our wider Ann Arbor community. We've been a long way through this COVID journey. We've learned and innovated, and there are many tools that we've implemented over this past year. And so we'll be thinking deeply together about what among those innovations do we want to hang on to and keep, because they will enrich our back to in-school full-time learning models. So we'll talk more about that coming up next. Again, all Ann Arbor Public Schools are returned to full operation at all campuses 5 days per week. That includes our academic, performing and visual arts and sciences, the enrichment, athletics, extracurriculars, our international baccalaureate, STEAM, Project Lead the Way, world languages, our Rec and Ed, our environmental programs and field trips, our science Olympiad, robotics, orchestra night. Those are just a few of the highlights, but we'll be fully back in session come August 30th, 2021. So we'll be bringing back with us some of the innovations that we've developed over this previous year. Parents and our students and our families, our staff, our teachers have worked very hard, and we want to learn from and gain and enrich and enhance from some of these additions we've had. So one of those is that the one-to-one technology that every student will be issued a district device. We always pause to thank our community for their support, and that is how that we're able to do that. So that will continue. Grades 2 through 12 will be a Chromebook. We'll share more about those younger grades over the coming days of May, but every child will be checked that device out during that back to school time. Schoology will remain as the Ann Arbor Public Schools learning ecosystem. It's that one-stop shop where parents can see the assignments, students can actually complete their work, teachers can organize materials. That will continue. We've been supporting a number of families in the community, several hundred families, with additional support for connectivity into the home, really closing that gap on connectivity, ensuring that equity and opportunity for every family. And we will continue that endeavor in the fall of 2021. We've also had the full 24/7 access to the digital library, millions of titles in that Sora library. I appreciate that our Ann Arbor Public Schools librarians have curated diverse authors and titles at every grade level, and the academic reading materials. All of that suite of materials will continue on student devices. Of course, in addition, we'll have fully open in-person libraries that we've always had. So we'll have the best of both worlds when it comes to having readily available reading and enrichment materials. We have scaled up over this past year our nursing and health support team. I just want to give a shout out. Yesterday was National School Nurses Day, and our team of 15 nurses have just done an extraordinary job. And we will continue that larger team of nursing and health support so that our students and families and staff have that additional support in the fall of 2021. I want to share one of the questions coming up on our thought exchange for parents and staff and students. And one of those questions will be, what innovations would you want to see carried forward into this 21-22 school year? We know some things maybe have been more popular or more positive than others, and yet we want to hear from you as to what innovations you would like to see continue. So let's talk about the 3 levels and then we'll get over to your questions. Back to school in elementary schools, K-5, will be in person, fully 5 days per week in our 21 neighborhood elementary and K-8 schools. We expect that most of our families will choose that option. And yet, as we promised, we will continue also the virtual offerings. I want to touch on those because there are two options in kinder through fifth for virtual learning next fall. One of those options is one that you're very familiar with, or some people are very familiar with from this year, and that is the A2 virtual elementary. We've called it for short A2VE. And that program is an asynchronous, so independent, self-paced learning with Ann Arbor Public Schools teachers supporting weekly. That is a program where students don't need to be on a Zoom each day. They receive their work and communication from their teacher, and they work independently each day. The other virtual option is what we're calling A2 Online School. That is a K-5 live, synchronous, online instruction, 5 days per week. Now, it won't be 7 hours online on a Zoom, but it'll be a day that's paced out, appropriate for elementary students. And that will be A2 Online School will be a school where in the classroom, a student will be a member of a virtual learning community. So they'll be on a screen and see their classmates and see their teacher every day. That will be how the A2 Online School works. Principal Robin Coker, who has served us over this past year with A2 Virtual, will be the principal of these two virtual elementary school options. And of course, our wide in-person, in-school option that we feel will be most appropriate for many, many students. Those will be right in your neighborhood schools with your elementary school principal, teachers, and your team. Let's look for a moment at preschool. We want to make sure that we're sharing just a little bit more about preschool programming. Our preschool programs, and that is our Westerman Preschool Center, a large preschool center that serves some 400 to 500 students, depending on the year, and all of our preschool satellite classrooms. And those are sprinkled around across our city in our elementary schools. All of those programs, including First Steps, Great Start Readiness, Head Start classrooms, blended preschool classrooms, our Young Fives program that is offered in all of our elementary schools. All of those preschool programs will be wide open, in person, in school. I do need to note for our parents and for our families that we will not be offering preschool in a virtual setting for this next school year. So it will be the in-person options at preschool. We do need to talk about school-aged childcare in that program. We do understand that this is a very significant support, and we're going to have a change there. So we wanted to be sure to inform our families as soon as possible of this change. Our school-age childcare program is a large group model. If you've been into our schools, you normally will see that program operating in the cafeteria or operating in the gym or even in large groups outdoors. This program will require a redesign, a fundamental redesign in order to meet COVID safety requirements. And so we will not, during the 21-22 school year, offer the before and after school-aged child care. We will be undergoing a redesign of that program, and that redesign will be more closely connected to our equity mission and to our Rec and Ed mission of really stimulating passions and interests for students and creating joy through dedicated, interest-based learning activities. You will see, as we do some of this redesign during the year, you will see more free programming into our Title I schools and our schools that have the greatest socioeconomic need. We have so much enjoyed over this past year being able to offer a significant amount of free Rec and Ed programming. And so we see this opportunity for redesign as an opportunity to deploy our equity approach and serve our students and families with the greatest needs as we work through a redesign process. We will be laser focused on our academic school day and ensuring a full restoration and enhancement of the academic, social, emotional, mental health, and many other student supports and enrichments during the academic day. We know that our students have been through a lot. Our staff, our parents, our community has been through an ordeal, and there will be significant needs presented. Our school day will be about attending to those needs in more significant and direct and intentional ways. And I look forward to having those conversations in our community. We do understand that the childcare before and after school is an adjustment, and that is why we're informing our community now of this change. Let's talk about secondary school. Our middle school and high schools will be fully operational in grades 6 through 12, in school learning 5 days per week in our middle K-8 and high school programs. We know that our students, so many of our students and families are looking forward to getting back to a full academic enrichment, clubs and activities, both curricular and co-curricular and extracurricular activities. We will be full steam ahead at middle school and high school in the fall. We also understand that in-school 5-day option will not meet every family's needs. So we will offer at middle and high school the A2 virtual program. A2 virtual at middle and high school. That is with our Ann Arbor Public Schools quality teachers. It is an independent and self-paced learning program. And we will be offering that. Principal Cindy Lehman has been the principal there for several years, and we will be offering that as both a full-time option, and many of our students in the past have used A2 virtual as an enhancement or an extra option, and that opportunity will still be available as well. We will be asking on our upcoming survey if there is an interest in synchronous learning at secondary. We have not built that into the plan at this time, but we will be asking that question. We are hearing from a few parents, particularly parents of 6th graders, who are concerned, depending on when their birthday falls, that they might not be fully vaccinated and they may want to have a synchronous virtual option. So we'll be checking to see where the level of demand is for that, the level of folks wanting to have that option, and we'll continue to update you on that as we go. We will be on a series of community engagement activities through May. The first week of June, we'll be graduating our class of 2021, and then right back with more community engagement as we wrap up June. And then we'll begin a series of community engagement right away the 1st of August to help everyone get ready for back to school. So we have 3 more community engagement sessions, or 2 more after tonight before graduation week. Those will occur next Thursday and the following Thursday. We expect each week to be able to give more and more detail. We will have all of those sessions available on demand so that folks can access them at any time that works for them. Students, parents, and staff, as always, will receive a comprehensive spring survey. We've done that every year for many, many years. But we will also have a thought exchange community engagement tool coming up. And I've shared a couple of the questions with you as we've been talking through this time. We will be asking you about what are the strengths coming out of COVID, the innovations that we want to keep, what are the priorities that you have in mind in your particular students and children and families. What are those priorities? And then anything else you would like us to know in terms of approaching this back to school fall of 2021. In addition to those engagement opportunities, as is our normal activity, during May, you will receive that link to InfoSnap. That InfoSnap is your registration. So that one is one that you don't want to miss. And we'll be reminding you throughout those latter weeks of May and June to go in and complete your registration. Completing that InfoSnap registration reserves your seat in the Ann Arbor Public Schools. And it's a very important step. Our enrollment so far is ahead of pace year over year. And so we want to be sure that we are prepared for all of you who are planning to join us in the fall. I think, Andrew, I just, again, thank everyone for joining us. And we're ready to take some questions. So we have a good 30 minutes to work on questions. Thank you.
Yes, we've got a whole host of questions. First question, will students need to keep the Chromebooks over the summer, or will there be a time to return those to each school?
I really appreciate that question. We will be doing a pickup of the technology this spring because our team has refresh and refurbish activities planned over this summer to get all the updates and all of the suite of learning materials ready at each grade level. And yet, if your child is participating in one of the summer learning sessions, I know you'll hear more detail from your principal, but they are asking that you hold on to those for the summer learning program, and then we'll do another pickup after that summer learning session for those students who are engaged in summer learning.
Okay, our next question is, can you assure us that theater programs like Pioneer Theater Guild will be allowed to operate fully in person? It was very frustrating this year that sports were allowed to operate in person while performing arts were not.
I do hear and share and understand the frustration over this past year, particularly this spring. All of our programs in the Ann Arbor Public Schools will operate fully in person. And as I've shared, it will be a full opening of clubs and activities and sports and theater and robotics, and we can go on down the list. The one change that we are aware of, actually 2 things I've shared this evening, is the Schoolaged Childcare program and the not offering virtual preschool. I have shared with you the two adjustments, but other than that, all of our programs will be fully operational, including our career and technology programs that were also shuttered this year. Andrew, I want to list a third one, and that is, and I'll put it into our update that's going out, our exchange programs from abroad. I do need to note that is a third area of adjustment for this 21-22 school year. Certainly our international families that are moving to town, and those international families we welcome, as we always delightedly do, but our student exchange programs will not be active this fall also.
Okay, thank you. We got a couple of questions here that have been answered in the presentation, so we'll just do real quick. A reminder, before and after care is not happening.
That is correct.
But students will go full-time in the fall, not for just half days like middle school and high school students are currently.
That is correct. It's a full day, 5 days a week, full school day.
Okay. Next question is, how will children be separated by 3 to 6 feet in class and at lunch if they are all together 5 days per week?
I really appreciate that question. And we are, in fact, our members of our team are in a session right now with just coming out of the CDC briefing today and debriefing from that. We will be working a number of mitigation strategies based on the latest update of our guidance. And obviously having all of our students back full time, we will not get the 6 feet. So that is clear. We do believe that with some families choosing the virtual options, that we will be able to have smaller in-person classes. And I'll share with you, we will continue to update that. That is one of the reasons why, even though it's early, we're asking our families to give us an early indication so that we can get busy looking at each and every school and grade and classroom to ensure that we're able to do that in a COVID-safe way.
Okay, thank you. Next question. Any guidance on 8th grade end of year trip? The Slauson principal said in a recent PTO meeting that since info hasn't been communicated to parents yet, it probably won't happen for next year. And then also tied in with that, our middle school sports, especially the outdoor ones, a go for next year, with only being canceled for extraordinary circumstances.
I really appreciate those questions, really good questions. Middle school sports, absolutely a go, only canceled as they, are sometimes for extraordinary circumstances. That is absolutely correct. I would not want to we're not anywhere close to making a decision about a year from now on an overnight trip. But I will say that we do have some overnight things coming up for this summer interlocking camp that we do every summer with orchestra, band, and choir from all of our high schools. And so we're getting a good practice run this summer on coordinating those kinds of trips away. And we will continue to update our families as we move through this school year. We sure hope that by a year from now, we'll be able to send our children on their rite of passage trips and field trips and end of school activities. So thank you.
If a student chooses in person but has to quarantine, will classes be video to allow them to follow along but not interact since hybrid is not happening?
We are working on that now, and in terms of what will that support structure look like. We are also hearing from some interesting information from health and science experts that perhaps if case rates are very, very low, that quarantine may not be a part of our rhythm a few months from now. So just know there's no announcement inside that sentence. So please don't take one from me on that. But I just want you to know that we are engaged on this. We have several meetings coming up and meet several times a week with Washtenaw County Health Department. And you've heard around the state from other health departments updates on the quarantine process and protocol. So we're going to continue to work on that. We will support our students if they have to be out of school, and we'll look at what that looks like as we get into July and know more about what to expect.
Our next question, will masks be required next year in school? And also, will there be large groups such as lunch coming together as a large group or assemblies?
I really appreciate that question. And I've been, as you know, Andrew, in meetings this afternoon, have another community meeting after this one tonight. So I have not seen the update. Some of you may have from the CDC on masks. I know that we'll get a briefing from Washtenaw County Health tomorrow morning, as we regularly do. So we do not know the status of masks for that time period in the fall, but we will stay right on top of it. I will share with you that we will continue masking through the end of the school year. That is a firm step that, in my understanding, all of our superintendents in this county, we will continue with the masking through the end of the school year, and then we'll reevaluate over the summer. Those students who are engaged in face-to-face summer learning programs, we'll update those families as we move through the summer if something should change as we're going through.
Okay, thank you. We have several questions, variations of this. I'll just use the first one. Will children who are under the age of 12 be able to switch from virtual to in-person, assuming that at some point during the school year, they are able to get vaccinated?
Thank you. We will absolutely work with students through that process. We are asking that if the choice is not around a birthday or a vaccination, that families choose for the fall semester. But certainly if they need to start there and their birthday's coming up, we are absolutely going to look forward to welcoming them into school as well.
Okay. Will students continue to have access to digital resources such as Dreambox, Lexia, Epic over the summer months so they can continue their learning?
I absolutely will get that answer out in an upcoming update, but it is our desire that all of those programs will be fully open over the summer so that our students can continue their practice and academic practice and learning. And I want to put out a message that has the specific details on that. I also want to mention, because our innovations on that one slide were about technology, but I want to just reiterate our magic in the Ann Arbor Public Schools are our amazing teachers and support staff and leaders and the awesome things that our children, our students do together when they're in school. So I just want to emphasize it. Just because they have a device and they have some tools, that does not mean that screen time is going to increase when they're back to face at all. It just means that they will have more supports around them 24/7 in their learning. So I probably need to make an adjustment there, Andrew, just because I don't want it to sound like we're going to be screen centered. We've never been screen centered before the COVID year, and we won't be moving forward. So.
It's almost as if you were reading the question. The next question is, our kids need less screen time, not more. Schoology and digital books. Is APS only offering tech-heavy options. I think you
Yeah.
just answered that one. But I will tie in with that is, will the school libraries be open to check out physical books?
Yes, I can't wait. And in fact, want to take some books to donate to one of our libraries close by here, but we can't wait to get our libraries open. I want to give a shout out to our Ann Arbor Public Schools librarians who have curated the digital library. Also are excited as they're back now into their physical libraries, and we'll be refurbishing and renewing as we move forward. And what really happens is that our students will have both options. And so we can't wait. It's a great day. There's nothing like a physical library.
Okay, our next one is more of a suggestion rather than a question, but if we're doing another thought exchange or survey, could you please do a separate one for high school families versus elementary?
Yes.
It's not effective to combine both communities. Doing so does not give full voice to either.
I really appreciate that, and would also throw in middle school, because I think that voice sometimes gets lost a bit. So yes, that's a great idea. Thank you for offering that suggestion of elementary, middle school, and high school, separating those thought exchange activities. Thanks.
Next question. Some topical classes have been canceled due to low enrollment, sometimes with a last-minute cancellation due to the teacher's absence. How can we be confident that this will be a reliable care solution for working parents? I believe this would be the Rec and Ed after-school classes that the person is referring to.
Yeah, the Rec and Ed classes, do you think?
I believe that's what this person is referring to.
Okay. I don't believe that, I'm not sure, quite frankly, about how to approach that. If it's Rec and Ed, I would actually maybe we'll wrap Jenna in to respond to that, because I don't want to give the wrong answer. I do know that at times they have had to cancel. Even now, sometimes that's a result of quarantine or something that really is beyond anyone's control. But it is, I do hear the concern and appreciate you raising the question. And I'll make a note to just wrap that over to Ms. Bacalor so she has it as well.
Okay. We've got a couple more regarding the aftercare. Please explain exactly what you will offer for students with the greatest need as it relates to before and after care. And also what alternatives will be offered to aftercare?
So I was suggesting where we're going with the redesign. We will not be offering school-aged childcare in the Ann Arbor Public Schools for the fall of 21, for the school year 21-22. That time will be a time, and we will engage with our parents through this process of redesign. We will engage more directly around those critical mission components of equity, which will include some more intensive programming into our Title I in our areas of the greatest needs. And that redesign will be in progress through next school year. So you'll start to see that coming out. So this is a very preliminary time, but just so that our parents are aware, there will not be before and after school school-aged childcare offered in the Ann Arbor Public Schools.
Okay, our next question. Schoology is a wonderful learning management system that enables students to find class resources and assignments. During this school year, there doesn't seem to have been a uniform approach for informing students and parents up to date with grades. It's caused confusion. Will the AAPS leadership team work on a consistent approach so that PowerSchool and Schoology grades will be 100% in sync? That would be greatly helpful and eliminate many concern and inquiry emails and cut down on teacher workloads.
Very good. That is absolutely a priority for us. PowerSchool and Schoology, I want to make sure I've gotten it right, Andrew, the connection between those two so that there's not a discrepancy in what you see in one versus the other.
Yes,
Thank
that
you.
is what the question is about.
Very good. I'm just making a note. Thank you.
Our next question, while looks like some sixth graders may not have the opportunity to be vaccinated prior to the beginning of the year because of age restrictions. So the flip side of that is, what will be the policy for vaccination among students who do qualify for the opportunity by age? So basically, if you're old enough to get the vaccine, will you be required to get it?
We are working closely with our public health authorities. We don't know that answer yet. It is not an Ann Arbor Public Schools decision. It's a public health decision. So we will keep you updated. There is a place in that InfoSnap enrollment where we remind, and Mr. Cluley, you also remind our parents of the, required vaccinations, inoculation plan. As soon as we know something, that will be shared, of course, with all of you, just as soon as we know it. I wonder if there will not be any requirements until it's, and forgive me for not using the right technical term, but until it's fully authorized, if you catch my meaning. I'm just wondering about that. So
our next question, it's partly been answered, but partly not. Is will middle and high schools be full days, which we've already stated that yes, they will be. However, will the same school hours take bell schedule, basically?
We'll be announcing the exact school hours here later this spring. We don't anticipate any big changes, but we are reviewing our bus routing, and when we put out our parent survey, we'll be using that information just to clarify. So we don't anticipate big changes with school day times, but just as always, stay tuned on that because we will be sending a confirmation of those bell schedules. We know that's very important as our parents make arrangements for before and after care and carpools and activities and all the 100 things you have to think about arranging for fall.
Okay, our next one, will the academic curriculum be at the appropriate grade level for the entire year, or will a review of the past year's learning objectives, aka a review of what students would have learning in the 2021 school year? As
our teachers normally do, I believe that is yes and yes. They will be really consolidating the learning from this spring in particular, and then moving forward. We really perceive that we're going to be on a full court press. We know that our students will make learning leaps as they're back into school full time. We know that we don't need to repeat everything from the prior year, but certainly cementing those concepts and standards, seeing where kids are and moving them forward. Our teachers are masterful as they observe students in the classroom every day at filling in those gaps and moving students forward. So that will be our approach. And I know that at every grade level, they are doing the vertical articulation as to what was covered and what may need to be reinforced as we come back together in the fall.
Okay. Next question. Can you guarantee that you won't delay opening to wait for kid vaccinations?
We are opening on August 30th of 2021.
Is your hope that before/after school childcare will resume in the 22-23 school year? That is a real challenge for families with both parents working outside of the home.
I do hear the tremendous challenge that is for our families. As we go through this redesign this year, we will share more information about the 22-23 school year as we move through that process. So I'm not sitting here this evening to guarantee something for that far out, But it is my responsibility, and I just want to be very straight with our community that our large group model is not viable for this next school year. We will keep our families informed as we move forward.
Tied to after-school care as well, will the district consider expanding busing to childcare centers for families who will need before and after-school care and won't be able to get it at school?
I really appreciate that. And let's, when we send out our query, have you, please, there will be a place that says, what else do you want us to know? Please get that in there. I'm going to make a note of it, but we will do everything we can to support those activities. I think we have been doing some of that in the past, and we'll absolutely do everything we can to support that.
Okay. We've already answered that the exact bell schedules for middle school and high school are still forthcoming. We now have the question that we knew would come. What about the schedules for K through 5 schools? And I'm assuming the answer is the same, that we'll be sharing that in the near future.
Yeah, and we'll share all of it at the same time, and we'll share that detailed calendar for the 21-22 school year. And lots of families, I know in the old days that was on the fridge, so that you just keep track of where those breaks are and where we are in the school year. All of that will come together.
Next question, will elementary age students start to be grouped by academic ability next year in line with what's done at the middle and high school levels?
Our elementary classrooms have worked in small groups based on their learning levels and based on their strengths and their opportunities for growth. And that will continue. Our teachers have done an excellent job of that, particularly with extra support in the classrooms for reading and for math. So we will continue to see that. And at the elementary level, though, it looks more like a breakout for small group instruction, whereas at secondary, it might look like a different class choice. But yes, that practice will continue in the fall.
Okay. Next one, it's 2 questions. First, I'd like to confirm that kindergarten kids can only do in-person school, not as a virtual option. And secondly, is there a difference between in-person school and virtual school in terms of content and curricula, et cetera?
The A2 online and the A2 virtual are both K through 5 available. So that's all good. I do need to say they are not available at young 5s because we consider that more of a preschool program. And then there was the second part, Andrew.
The second part is whether there's a difference between in-person school and virtual school in terms of content, curriculum, those type of things.
The A2 online, the synchronous, will more closely mirror the regular activity of an in-school learning experience. At least that's my understanding. And the A2 virtual does address the same learning standards at every grade level, but that one is a little bit different of a curricula. And you know what? We are going to have our curricula person on next Thursday evening with me. So I'm going to make a note, Andrew, let's stack that question up so you can speak to the expert on this topic who will do a much better job than I have done. And I do want to, for new families, Andrew, if they're not on our distribution list, I want to make sure that they know how to find these sessions, because I do understand that we have lots of folks moving into town and they may not be on our mailing list yet. So I know you'll tend to that.
Yeah, they will be posted on our website, and they're also will be posted on the district's Facebook page, as well as obviously going out to the members that we have the emails for already.
Okay, thank you.
We are about out of time, but we will be capturing these questions before we end this meeting.
Okay.
And
if you see one I can do quickly,
We got several here about just clarifying one more time about the if you are in the 2 to 11 age bracket and you get vaccinated at some point during the school year, is there going to be some flexibility for families that are in that situation?
Absolutely. We'll be delighted to welcome, and I believe it'll mostly probably fall at sixth grade. Don't you imagine? I mean, I'm just guessing by their birthdays, but we will absolutely work with our parents and our students to get them in as soon as the family feels ready and comfortable to do so.
I think there's also probably some aspect of the timing on if the vaccine becomes allowable at a younger age.
Oh,
well.
yes.
And since obviously we don't know when that decision may or may not get made, it's
right.
It's hard to answer with a specific answer at this time.
Right. But we are going to work with our students and families. And we know that most everyone, not everyone, but most everyone really is looking forward to getting back to in-school learning. So we will work with our families through the school year as they get vaccinated. That'll happen right with your principal at your school.
Okay. Well, I know that you have another meeting that you have to get to. As I said, we'll be capturing these questions and we'll work them into the future presentations as well as the communication that are still coming out from us about sort of in general about what's planning for fall.
I just want to share, Andrew, with the group how deeply I appreciate your partnership and your support. It has been a long and challenging year. And we are so excited to turn our sights toward a strong back to school 21-22 school back to school reopening. So thank you for joining us this evening, and we'll look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you. Take care.